On the night of September 30th, 2025, life in Cebu was shattered in seconds. What began as an ordinary evening quickly turned into a nightmare that would be etched into the memories of everyone who lived through it. The city, alive with its usual nighttime energy, was suddenly gripped by fear and confusion as the ground beneath began to tremble. Just before 10 p.m., a violent magnitude 6.9 earthquake struck, its epicenter only 15 kilometers east of Cebu. The seismic waves radiated outward, catching thousands off guard. In an instant, the city's fate was changed, as the Earth's energy was unleashed with devastating force. The ground heaved with terrifying force, sending shockwaves through homes, high-rises, and crowded streets. Buildings swayed alarmingly, furniture toppled, and windows rattled violently. People clung to each other, desperately seeking shelter as the city seemed to convulse around them. In less than a minute, chaos erupted. Glass shattered, buildings groaned, and terrified residents scrambled for safety. The deafening roar of collapsing structures mixed with the cries of panic, as families rushed into the streets, unsure if the worst was over. The quake's shallow depth meant the shaking was brutally intense, toppling even sturdy structures. Concrete walls crumbled, roofs caved in, and entire blocks were left in ruins. The destruction was widespread, leaving many without homes in a matter of moments. Sirens wailed as people huddled in the darkness, using their phones to check on loved ones and survey the devastation. Power outages plunged neighborhoods into pitch black, forcing families to rely on the faint glow of screens for comfort and information. The familiar landscape was unrecognizable, transformed by nature's fury. Landmarks that once defined Cebu now stood broken, surrounded by piles of debris and dust. Streets were blocked by rubble, making rescue efforts even more difficult. The United States Geological Survey confirmed the quake's magnitude and shallow depth, while local agencies reported very strong shaking across Cebu. Emergency broadcasts urged residents to stay alert for aftershocks and to avoid damaged buildings. As the dust settled, the city faced a long night of fear, uncertainty, and desperate searches for survivors. Rescue teams worked tirelessly, combing through the wreckage with flashlights, while anxious crowds waited for news of missing loved ones. For Cebu and its neighbors, this was only the beginning of a harrowing ordeal. The community would need to summon all its strength and resilience to recover from the devastation, as the true scale of the disaster slowly became clear in the days that followed. When the shaking stopped, darkness swallowed Cebu and the surrounding provinces. The earthquake crippled the power grid, plunging millions into a blackout and severing vital communication lines. Residents navigated debris-strewn streets by flashlight, unable to gauge the full extent of the disaster. Modern buildings shed concrete and glass onto the streets, while older homes and structures collapsed entirely. Bridges cracked, roads buckled, and landslides blocked rescue routes, isolating entire communities. Water lines ruptured, leaving thousands without clean drinking water as the hours ticked by. Families camped in the streets, afraid to return home, the air thick with dust and the scent of ruptured gas lines. Cell service was sporadic, adding to the confusion and fear. The city's infrastructure, its lifelines, were shattered, leaving people vulnerable and desperate. In the darkness, every cry for help underscored the scale of the unfolding tragedy. Dawn revealed the true scale of the disaster. At least 26 lives were lost, with over 140 injured, numbers that continued to rise as rescue teams reached isolated areas. Hospitals overflowed, treating crush injuries and trauma, often without power or enough supplies. In Cebu City, damaged hospitals forced patients into makeshift outdoor triage centers. Many victims remained trapped beneath rubble, especially in rural northern Cebu. Each fatality was a family torn apart, each survivor a testament to resilience and luck. The region mourned, bracing for more grim discoveries as the search continued. The earthquake's toll was measured not just in numbers, but in shattered lives and communities. Northern Cebu, especially San Remigio, bore the brunt of the quake's wrath. The once serene and picturesque town was transformed into a scene of chaos and destruction. The coastal town, famed for its beaches, was devastated. 4 buildings collapsed, historic churches crumbled, and a state of calamity was declared. The local government struggled to respond swiftly amidst the overwhelming destruction. Residents faced a daily struggle for food, water, and shelter as infrastructure lay in ruins. Long lines formed for basic necessities, and the community spirit was tested as neighbors helped each other survive. In Cebu City, the skyline was scarred, commercial districts littered with debris, and power and water outages were widespread. The bustling urban center was brought to a standstill, with businesses and daily life severely disrupted. Older buildings and informal settlements suffered the worst, forcing thousands to sleep outdoors or in makeshift shelters. The lack of proper housing exacerbated the already dire situation. Schools closed, businesses shuttered, and hospitals like Bogos were evacuated. The education of countless children was put on hold, and the healthcare system was stretched to its limits. The disruption was total, daily life ground to a halt. Public transportation was halted, and the streets, usually teeming with activity, were eerily quiet. The humanitarian crisis deepened by the hour, with essential services crippled. Relief workers faced immense challenges in distributing supplies to the affected areas. For those at ground zero, fear and uncertainty became the new normal. Families huddled together in makeshift shelters, clinging to hope amidst the devastation. The people of San Remigio, Cebu City, and nearby towns faced a relentless test of resilience. Volunteers and locals worked tirelessly to clear rubble and support each other through the crisis. Survival now depended on aid, community, and hope. The strength and unity of the affected communities shone through as they navigated the aftermath of the disaster together. Rescue teams raced against time, searching for survivors beneath mountains of debris. Every faint sound from the rubble fueled hope, but progress was slow and dangerous. Heavy rains turned debris fields to mud, while aftershocks and darkness hampered efforts. With bridges down and roads blocked, many communities remained cut off from help. Rescuers relied on hand tools and sheer determination, often working by generator light. Despite exhaustion and danger, teams of military, police, firefighters, and volunteers pressed on. The operational airport allowed aid to arrive, but reaching the worst-hit areas was a logistical nightmare. The rescue effort became a symbol of courage and unity in the face of overwhelming adversity. The main quake was only the start. Aftershocks, some as strong as magnitude 6.0, kept nerves frayed and structures at risk. Each tremor sent fresh waves of panic through exhausted survivors. A tsunami advisory triggered midnight evacuations along the coast, but was later lifted, bringing relief. Still, the threat of aftershocks forced thousands to sleep outdoors, fearing further collapse. Scientists studied the quake's strike-slip fault, warning that aftershocks could continue for weeks. Damaged buildings and bridges remained vulnerable to even minor tremors. For survivors, every rumble was a reminder of the Earth's unpredictability. The ordeal was far from over. Vigilance and caution became daily necessities. The Cebu earthquake is a stark reminder of the Philippines' place on the Pacific Ring of Fire. Here, tectonic plates grind and collide, making the country one of the world's most earthquake-prone. The recent quake was a shallow, strike-slip event, its energy released close to the surface, amplifying destruction. The nation's history is marked by seismic disasters, from Bohol's deadly 2013 quake to more recent tragedies. Active faults crisscross the islands, making preparedness a way of life. Living here means respecting the Earth's power and never letting your guard down. The ground beneath the Philippines is always restless. Amid the devastation, stories of survival and resilience emerged, shining through the dust and chaos. In every corner of the affected towns, people clung to hope, determined to protect their loved ones against all odds. One father in San Remigio escaped with his children just seconds before their roof collapsed, his quick decision saving their lives as the house crumbled behind them. In Cebu City, a woman sheltered her elderly mother under a sturdy table as their apartment shook violently, shielding her from falling debris and the terror of the moment. These moments of quick thinking and bravery saved lives, as families acted on instinct and love, refusing to give in to fear. Yet, for countless others, the situation was dire. Many found themselves trapped beneath rubble, calling out for help, while families searched desperately for missing loved ones. Local officials pleaded for urgent aid, food, water, medicine, and shelter, knowing that every hour without assistance put more lives at risk. They called for heavy equipment to clear debris, hoping to reach those still trapped and restore access to isolated communities. Ordinary citizens queued for water, clutching empty containers, their faces etched with worry and exhaustion. Anxious crowds waited in long lines for supplies, uncertain when help would arrive or if there would be enough for everyone. "The children are thirsty. We don't know when help will come," one father said, his voice trembling with worry as he tried to comfort his family. His words echoed the fears of thousands of parents and families, all facing the same uncertainty and longing for relief. The appeals were raw and urgent, filled with emotion as community leaders and survivors spoke out, hoping their voices would be heard beyond the disaster zone. These stories painted a vivid picture of both strength and vulnerability, as people leaned on each other for support and found courage in the darkest moments. Survivors' voices became a call to action for the nation and the world, urging everyone to come together and respond to the crisis. The need for a massive humanitarian response was clear, as aid workers rushed to deliver supplies and relief to those in greatest need. In the ruins, hope and desperation walked hand in hand, as survivors searched for loved ones and clung to the belief that help and healing would come. Even as aftershocks rattled nerves, the Filipino spirit of community unity shone through. Neighbors cleared rubble, shared food and water, and comforted the grieving. Grassroots solidarity became the first defense against despair. The road to recovery would be long, requiring coordinated aid and resilient rebuilding. This tragedy underscored the need for preparedness, stricter building codes, public education, and better infrastructure. The story of Cebu's earthquake will be defined by the strength of its response, not just the power of the tremor. With unity and determination, the people of the Central Philippines will rise again. Hope, in the end, is the one structure no earthquake can destroy.